Welcome to the third lecture of the course. In this lecture we will talk about sequence alignment. The phenomenon of people and their pets resembling each other has been extensively documented. A number of social experiments have replicated repeatedly the ability of people to identify the owners of pets by looking at pictures of their pets and vice versa, all with a significant p-value that is at a rate well above the one that would occur by chance alone. One of the explanations is that people select the pets that look somewhat like themselves or having similar temperaments. However, the cohabitation influences both humans and their pets in enhancing such similarities and even getting some traits from each other. For example, there are a number of scientific reports in which the pets are getting some of humans' bad habits, such as obesity due to overeating or aggression from disagreeable owners. So, what is the biological meaning of homology and similarity? Are the pairs represented in this slide homologs? And how much similarity can you find in each of these pictures? The short answer is that all these pairs are homologs in biological sense of definition, with certain degree of similarity primarily visual. In biology, the definition of homology means that the two species or sequences share a common evolutionary ancestor or are derived from one molecule. The analogy is a similarity that is due to convergent evolution, development of similar traits in response to environmental pressure or selection. Similarity is just a quantification of the homology in terms of percentage identity between two homologous sequences. There are different biological and evolutionary events that created the visual and visually less obvious differences between species. The situation is even more complicated when the visual similarity is much higher or obvious, as in comparison of sharks with dolphin species, which is an example of analogy. Both aquatic animals are associated with deep water, swimming, and sometimes it is difficult to tell them apart from a distance, which could be the difference between you petting the dolphin and the shark petting you. In addition to their recognized safety or danger to human beings and other food sources, several sociobiological traits might convince you that despite their high similarity in appearance, both differ very much with respect to the composition of their skeleton, sharks having the cartilages at the bases and dolphins the bones. The presence or lack of hair, which sometimes is difficult to associate with aquatic animals. The sharks indeed don't have any hair, while dolphins have their nostrils covered with hair similar to humans. From the social point of view, sharks don't nurse their offspring, while dolphins do. And another distinct trait is their sources of oxygen. While sharks are getting their oxygen from water similar to the majority of aquatic animals, dolphins have to surface for oxygen supply. As you see, biologically, the sharks and dolphins are very distantly related species. In fact, as mammals, the dolphins are closely related to humans despite of different shapes and living environment. The evolutionary relationships between species and DNA or proteins are represented in the form of a phylogenetic tree. The upper node represents the common ancestor or the root of the tree, which then divides into branches or edges. The changes in sequences or appearances of new traits occur at the bifurcation node, also called the speciation nodes, and each branch ends up in a terminal node or taxa. Two or more adjacent branches form a clade, such as, for example, D and E. However, clades may also be formed from groups of terminal nodes if the count of relationships starts early in the evolutionary process, such as, for example, C versus D and E. Graphically, the phylogenetic tree may be represented in many shapes, the main principles being to keep the relationships between branches and terminal nodes at the same level and corresponding to the time progression. For example, the first shape is the same as the second one, as the relationship between nodes A and B and C and D didn't change. The shapes could be rotated at the extremal bifurcation node without changing the relationships, and it could also be rotated at the internal bifurcation node as long as the relationships between A and B and C and D remain the same. Coming back to the shark versus dolphin relationship, The evolutionary tree separates them into distinct species that are related only through the most distant common ancestors, the tetrapod, which is considered the starting point of the four-limbed vertebrates. Time-wise, the tetrapods are placed at the top of the species hierarchy with an estimated age of 395 million years. The branch of mammals appeared about 100 million years later than tetrapods, and both human and dolphins belong to the same clade of animal, while, as you can see in this tree, the sharks are not even our third-degree cousins. The third edition of the Smithsonian Database of Mammalian Species of the World, published in 2006, identified 5,416 mammal species grouped into 1,229 genera, 153 families, and 29 orders. A more recent edition is being prepared at this time, and the numbers may change, mostly due to reclassification rather than discovery of new species. The definition of homology is probably one of the most widely used and functionally important in genomics and bioinformatics. Homology is the basis for many cell-based in vitro experiments and for preclinical studies of model diseases. As a process, the molecular evolution occurs mainly via gene duplication and speciation events. Adaptive changes occur during speciation event, defined as a split into two separate species, which results in creation of orthologous species. Duplication of genes results in creation of paralogs, which usually code for proteins with similar structures and functions. Homolog sequences are grouped into two main categories, distinct by the mode of genetic material transfer. The orthologs are produced by the speciation events at the bifurcation nodes, while gene duplication events between species result in paralogs. In addition, the paralogs can be subdivided into in-paralogs when the duplication occurs after a speciation event, and out-paralogs in cases of duplication prior to the speciation event. Both in and out paralogs may occur between species and within species. In addition to the two main groups of orthologs and paralogs, there are some groups of homologs that are applicable primarily to plants and lower organisms, such as bacteria and yeasts. The onologs are paralogs which resulted from a whole genome duplication. The horizontal transfer of genetic information is more typical for events occurring in microbial species and is defined as xenology. In evolutionary research, the synthelogs are genes derived from the same ancestral regions, deducted based on the historic evidence of sequence similarities and their positions within a genome. In practice, this definition and groupings are encountered only in specialized literature on evolutionary development and bacterial mutations. This is an example of an evolutionary tree representing different relationships between human and mouse species of three homologous hypothetical genes. As you can see in these graphics, the genes are orthologs when they are separated at the speciation node, indicated by the yellow connecting curve, and are paralogs if they originated at the duplication nodes. The red connecting curve emphasizes the between-species paralogs, as genes originated from the same duplication node, one level up for gene 1 and two level ups for gene 2, and the teal curves represent the within-species paralogs. A main point to remember is that homology, being an evolutionary statement, is a quality expression. Homology expressions should never have a number representing a degree of relationships. It is a binomial statement, yes or no, and may be represented as two sequences being either homologs or not. It would be incorrect to say, for example, that two sequences are X% homologs to each other. The homologous sequences usually have a common three-dimensional structure because of the conserved domains that create such structures. However, they may or may not have a common function. On the other hand, the similarity is a quantitative measure of homology and should be interpreted as a level of degree of similarity in percentage number. The percent similarity may not exceed 100% and cannot be a negative value. By convention, a similarity greater than 25% is an indicator of homology between sequences. However, it also depends on the type of alignment and types of sequences being aligned. This slide represents an example provided by the textbook on the homology of globins. Both hemoglobin and myoglobin proteins are homologs because they descend from a common ancestor. The three-dimensional structures are quite similar, and the merged image shows almost a perfect superimposition. However, the alignment of these proteins reveals a very low level of similarity or pairwise amino acid identity with only 37 identical sites along the 155 amino acids. The black dots on the alignment image represent the shared identical amino acids between hemoglobin and myoglobin, while the spaces between the green and black bars indicate mismatches in sequences. Now, in order to be able to evaluate a potential function of a nucleic acid or protein, we need to compare it against a reference. The process of alignment consists of arrangement of two or more sequences against each other or against a reference sequence for the purpose to locate the regions of similarity. Based on such similarities, we could infer the functions, structural and evolutionary relationships. The alignment process requires a knowledge of genetic code along with understanding of the principles of alignment. As you know, the genetic code consists of triplets combined from 4 nucleotides, ACGT in DNA and AUCG in RNA. Specific triplets of nucleotides are coding for each of the 20 naturally occurring amino acids. Proteins are produced as a result of the translational system which decodes the RNA messages into a string of amino acids. The translation of genetic information contained in messenger RNA into a protein is catalyzed by the transport tRNA specific for each amino acid and located on ribosomes. Each of the 3 nucleotides codon is translated into one of the 20 naturally occurring amino acids. There is at least one tRNA for any codon, and in several cases more than one codon code for the same amino acids. Many tRNAs are compatible with several codons, and most cells have a different enzyme synthesized for each amino acid, with more than 20 types of synthetases. In genetic code, a stop codon or termination codon is a nucleotide triplet within messenger RNA that signals a termination of translation. The names in parentheses were given historically by the discovery of a nonsense mutation pattern isolated by Richard Epstein and Charles Steinberg, and named after their friend Harris Bernstein, whose last name means amber in German. Viruses with amber mutation are characterized by their ability to infect only certain strains of bacteria, known as amber suppressors. These bacteria carry their own mutations that allow a recovery of functions in the mutant viruses. For example, a mutant in the tRNA that recognizes the amber stop codon allows translation to read through the codon and produce full-length protein, thereby recovering the normal form of the protein and suppressing the amber mutation. The stop codon doesn't work for viruses and bacteria that have these mutations. The other nicknames were chosen as analogs to the amber stop codon and have similar mechanism of avoiding the stop codons in bacteria. In vertebrates, stop codons signal the termination of this process by binding the release factors, which cause the ribosomal units to dissociate, releasing the amino acid chain. While start codons need nearby sequences or initiation factors to start translation, a stop codon alone is sufficient to initiate the termination or to stop the translation. As an example of the importance of the genomic code, let's look at the amino acid lysine, which at the DNA level is coded for by the TTC triplet. At the mRNA level, the TTC will be translated to AAG, and at the protein level, the AAG codes for lysine, which is a basic amino acid due to its positively charged NH3 plus group within the side chain. So when a point mutation occurs in DNA, where the last nucleotide C is exchanged for another T in the triplet, the mutation is called silent because the DNA triplet of nucleotides is translated into AAA amino acid at the mRNA level, which also happen to code for lysine, the same basic amino acid. However, when the first nucleotide T is replaced with A, a nonsense mutation occurs because the resulting messenger RNA UAG is a stop codon and will result in no amino acid. If the second nucleotide T is replaced for C, the so-called missense mutation occurs, specifically conservative type, because the translated messenger RNA codes for arginine, which is also a basic amino acid, albeit with a different side chain group. Finally, if the second nucleotide T is replaced with G, a non-conservative missense mutation will occur, because the translated messenger RNA codes for threonine, a polar amino acid with different physicochemical properties. The basic amino acid lysine and arginine bind protons and have a positive charge, while the polar threonine has both positive CH3 and negative OH charged side chains, are attracted to water and most frequently are encountered within the surface proteins.